Monday. I just wanted to say hello, and now we can get right down to work. So I'm going to take the phone and point it to my math book. Okay, last week we worked some with decimals, so you had some introduction to this. And today we're talking about addition and subtraction of fractions. I'm just going to go right down and read the directions. When adding decimals, keep the decimal point in the sum directly below the decimal points in the add-ins. When subtracting decimals, keep the decimal point in the difference directly below the decimal points in the minuend and subtrahend. Now, sometimes that gets to be a little wordy. Basically, in an addition problem, line up your decimals. Do you see how the decimals are in a line? In a subtraction problem, line up your decimals. That's kind of how I was taught, and I think that's the easiest way to process this information. Okay, let's take a look at number 1. Add these decimals. Now, notice if you need extra work, you can go for additional problems, supplementary exercises, page 334. I didn't say a lot about that during the year because most days our math lessons took so long, and then I felt like you had enough to do. But parents, if your child is struggling with a certain concept, feel free to turn to the back, or children, feel free to turn to the back and look at the supplementary exercises. Okay, let's take a look at number 1. All you're doing is adding and carrying and then lining up those decimals. B, adding and carrying, lining up those decimals. C, same. D, same. E, same, which it's green. You do not have to do green. Someone asked last week, or more than one of you asked this question. Do we do homework? Do you see here where it says that number 8 is going to be on test 13? If I have ever asked you to highlight anything in the homework section, please do the part I have asked you to highlight. That way you're ready for the test. Okay, now we're back over here on subtract these decimals. Okay, same thing. If you need to borrow, you borrow, and you make sure to keep those decimals lined up all the way across. That's it. Pretty simple, isn't it? Okay, so let's just take a look at this one just in case it's confusing you. You're going to make the 3 a 13. 13 minus 5 is 8. You had to borrow, didn't you? So you have to turn that 8 into a 7. 7 minus 7 is 0. You did not have to borrow from the 9. 9 minus 8 is 1. 10.8. Remember to slide that decimal down. Okay? It says to read each difference. See that? And to read each sum. So you can say 623 and 75 cents, or you can say 623.75. Okay? I typically use the point. All right, now this is just review of last week. Okay? You're going to match by drawing the lines. Let's take a look at 3A. 25 over 4 tenths. If you remember last week, 4 over 10 is a 0.4. So you find 25.4. You see that? Okay. Now B, you've got 82 and 7 100ths. So you know that 7 100ths is 0.07. So you look over for 82.07. Makes sense? Okay. Now, if you notice, that says test 13, doesn't it? Okay. Test 13 is actually tomorrow. So that means you're going to need to know that. Okay, this says test 13. You're going to need to know these. Last week, you did these in an exercise, and I also sent the answers to your parents in an email. So I noticed when I looked at some of your work pages that you did not have all of these accurate. Some of you didn't. So please, let's do them together right now. I want to make sure that you're learning them correctly tomorrow for your test. And also, I gave you a what will be on test 13 last week. It's also going to be attached to today's lesson. You may look over that. Okay, so here we are. 1,000 is kilo. Okay? 100, hecto. Remember I told you a guy worked for my husband? His name's Hector, and he's a real old guy. So let's just say Hector's around 100. Help you remember that, okay? 10 is deca. 0.1 is deci. 0.01 is centi. And 0.001 is milli. You need to know those. Just memorize them. Okay? Now, divide and check. Look, that's going to be on test 13 as well. Okay? Guys, that's just the same old, same old. Trial and error. Remember, when you have a 4, you can say 4 goes into 89 right there, because 43 will not go into 8. So you have to say 43 will go into 89. Then it gets confusing and you say, well, how many times will 43 go into 89? Well, you could quickly add it up and know that's 86. But you can estimate and say, okay, 4 goes into 8 2 times. But you got to remember to put the 2 over the 89. Remember all that trial and error stuff, okay? Remember, when you, now here you're not going to reduce this. You know how sometimes you're writing this over a fraction? Just remember when you're writing your remainder over a fraction and you actually reduce that fraction, that when you're checking, like right here, you always use your original remainder. That's not the case here, but I wanted to point that out. Okay, that's just the same stuff you've been doing, okay? Now, let's go over to number 6. It's also going to be on test 13. Now, only the ones that are highlighted, okay? Only the ones that are highlighted. This is also on your what will be on test 13. Okay, your word problems, I want you guys to work hard on those. And I'm not going to necessarily give you the answers because I want you to work on them. Test 13, I would like for you to do number 8 because that is going to be on this test. So I would work hard on those. I would like to take a look at the word problems just a minute. Let's just take a look at B and do it together. Okay, if a triple dip of chocolate ice cream costs $4.29, how much would a single dip cost at the same rate? If a triple dip of chocolate, triple means 3, ice cream costs $4.29, how much would a single cost? So you just divide how many? Triple would be 3. You divide 3 into 429. Remember to keep that decimal where it needs to be, okay? All right, the answer is $1.43. So try to work that and make sure you can come up with that answer, okay? Now, tomorrow is test 13. Okay. Now, I'm going to go over the sheet, what will be on test 13. And I know you guys don't want to spend too much time because you have this at home. But I'm going to try to go over it with you. Please see highlighted items that I have been giving you each day. Highlighted items on pages 231 to 238. I also noticed on a lot of your workbook pages that you did not highlight. Make sure you're doing this daily because I'm not sure if I'll do these sheets all the way to the end of the year or not. I'm kind of thinking I'm going to switch to highlighting and train you guys to study that way to kind of start preparing you for 5th grade. But we'll see. I'll kind of see what I think about that. So just get used to highlighting, please. Number 1, match by putting the correct mixed decimal in each blank. For example, 241 3/4 is 241.3. Okay? All right. Follow the signs. Adding mixed numbers. You see how you do those? Okay? You have to remember to find the common denominator first, okay? And that's what you end up with, right? Okay, so if you have 6 1/8, and then you have the 1/4, you have to find the common denominator of 8, right? Is that right? So then you say, okay, 4 goes into 8 2 times, right? 2 times 1 is 2, and then you have the 1/8 stays the same. 1/8 plus 2 8s equals 3 8s, and then you just add your whole numbers, right? I didn't write all that out there exactly because I knew that you guys would know what to do there. Okay, 37 and 2/4 minus 28 and 1/3. So you take your, again, you find, it says remember to find the common denominator. What will both numbers divide evenly into? Okay? Then you reduce that number when you finish. So practice doing that on your own. Subtraction with borrowing. You know how to do that, right? And then just make sure, guys, on your subtraction with borrowing and on your addition, that you're careful, because those should be freebies for you guys at this point. Divide and check. You guys should be getting there with that, okay? That will be 2-digit divisors. Then you're going to be finding the products. 29 times 1/2. Remember to cancel the 2's. When you're multiplying fractions, you can multiply straight across, but you have to cancel. And some of you guys are forgetting that. Cancel the 2's, remember. Then 1 times 1 equals 1, and 9 times 1 equals 9. So the answer is 1/9. Most of you tend to multiply across. 2 times 1 equals 2, and 9 times 2 equals 18, and you end up with 2/18. Then you reduce to 1/9. Get used to cancellation, please. 2 times 3.5. Always remember to put a 1 beneath the whole number. So 2/1 times 3 1/2 equals. Then solve. 3 1/2 equals 7/2. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, because see, you have to write see that? 2 times 3.5. So you're going to end up having 2/1 times 3.5, right? Just like that. Then you solve 3 1/2, which is 7/2. Now you have an equation that looks like this. Then you cancel your 2's. Now you have 1/1 times 7/1 equals 7/1 equals 7. Does that make sense? See that? Okay. Write that out if it's hard to follow. When I type it up, it's not as easy to type up the fractions as you think it would be. My phone's having a little bit of a hard time focusing right here. Okay. Now, 2,617.94. What digit is in the hundreds place? 6. The ones place? 7. The tenths place? 9. The thousandths place? 2. The tens place? 1. And the hundredths place? 4. Do you see that? Make sure you practice this. Number 6, this is just memorization. 1 mile, 5,280 feet. 1 leap year, 366 days. 1 day is equal to 24 hours. 1 peck, 8 quarts. 1 century, 100 years. 1 pound, 16 ounces. Deci is 1/10 or 0.1. Centi is 1/100 or 0.1. Deca is 10. Hecto is 100. Milli is 1/1,000 or 0.001. Kilo equals 1,000. I'm really hoping that you guys have this sheet printed off so that you can follow. A decimal is another way to write a fraction. True or false? See page 231 for this. Okay. 8/10 equals 0.8. True or false? That would be true. 8.32 is a mixed decimal. See page 231. Is that true or false? I'm going to let you figure that out. 1/2 times 26. 1/2 times 26 over what, guys? A 1. Don't forget to put that whole number over a 1. Then cancel the 2 and 26, which will be 13/1 equals 13. See if you see that. Okay. 1/2 times 26. Okay, you put that as 1/2 times 26/1. The 2 and the 26 will cancel. The 2 will be a 1. The 26 will be a 13. So that is how you end up with 13/1. Anytime you have a 13/1, any number over a 1 equals that number. I'm going to try to show you this whole sheet one more time, just in case you're not finding it and need it. And I hope you study and do an amazing job. Okay? Thank you so much. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.